What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 teams for Alliance War offense. This is something I've been working on for a while, and I kept pushing it back because there was new teams coming out, whether it was Doc Ock, new Symbiotes, and finally I just realized, you know what, we're going to make this video and then we're going to come back and revisit it every couple of months because we're getting so many new teams. We've got like She-Hulk now with Fantastic Four that may change that into a defensive team. Jury's still out on that. So this is something that we're going to revisit every couple of months at least, just to get a constant update, see how the power rankings have changed, see if anything has changed with teams, if the new team has come out that has made them super good for war. We'll talk about all of that as we go through these videos in the future. But so what's going to make it a top 10 team? Well, I had three criteria for this video. Number one, the ability to punch up against multiple teams. Number two, the quality of those teams is able to punch up against. And number three, the value of those punch-ups. So a team that's able to punch up way more against some of your heavy war defense teams is going to be better off than something who could only punch up slightly against fewer teams. And yeah, there's a little formula for it, but that basically the better the quality of the punch-ups and the more teams it can defeat and how easily it can defeat those teams, the better the ranking is going to be for that team. Now, for example, let's just go ahead and talk about Defenders, and Defendtron will not be on this list because while Defenders can defeat some teams like AIM, Kree, some other villain teams, those are not heavy war defense teams, and while Ultron can come into that team and allow them to beat Marauders, you throw Ultron onto another team which will be on this list and do significantly higher punch-ups against that same Marauders team. So Defenders and Defendtron will not be on this list. Just a warning, and you guys can probably guess where Ultron is going to be going with on what team for this list. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start with number 10 on the list. And coming in at the number 10 spot, we have Brotherhood 2.0, Magneto, Pyro, Toad, Blob, and Juggernaut. This team is great, there's no doubt about that. It's able to easily defeat SHIELD teams. You can also defeat Technerva, Wakandans, you can even defeat Avengers, and even Young Avengers or Hero Brawlers with Captain Marvel on there. You can defeat those teams. Now, this is not an indictment against Brotherhood 2.0, it's just that other teams have come out recently that are much better against those same teams, and it's kind of pushed them down the rankings. They're still a good team by any stretch of the imagination. You will not be disappointed with them. It's just there's more powerful teams on here that can do the same punch-ups or even better against those teams. So that's why they're down here at number 10. Still a very much worthwhile team to invest in. You have the Blind with Magneto, you have Dispels and Bleed with Pyro, Toad and Blob do their own thing with countering and deflect and dodge, and then Juggernaut, you already know Juggernaut, I mean he taunts, and then just absolutely wrecks everyone with his charge when he builds up the charge mechanic. So this team is still very good, you're going to get plenty of return with them on offense, still worthwhile investing on them. And then number 9 on this list is going to be Inhumans, and I think this one's going to be a little controversial. I can see some people typing in comments saying that Inhumans is ranked too low here. Inhumans are very good. They are great for countering Hydra. They can still defeat Asgardians, Technerva. They do well against SHIELD, and anytime you see Ultron on the enemy team, Inhumans can still beat that too. The reason why they're still down here, the reason why they're down here so low is that, again, there are other teams that have come out recently that do those punch-ups but better. The Hydra one is always a strong point for Inhumans, but a different team is on here now that can counter Inhumans a whole lot, or can counter Hydra a whole lot better than Inhumans. So that's kind of pushed them down. As Guardians, there are far better counters for them than Inhumans now. Inhumans still strong, but they're getting kind of pushed down because there's just better war teams now. And not having any kind of Alliance War bonuses is part of what's drawing them back, what's kind of pushed them down, is that some of these teams you're going to see up here do have better Alliance War bonuses than Inhumans, or just have Alliance War bonuses while Inhumans have none. And that's part of what's drawing them down too, is that they don't get those big buffs for Alliance War like you would see with some of these other teams. And then coming in at number 8, we have Symbiotes. Now, this one, we are still waiting on Anti-Venom, and I have no doubt Anti-Venom is going to make them better in terms of raids and Dark Dimension 3, other places. I'm not too sure on how much better he's going to be making Symbiotes for Alliance War. And honestly, with Symbiotes right now, you can do some very impressive punch-ups against Asgardians. You can crush Wakandans, you can crush Guardians, you can crush Young Avengers and Hero Brawlers. You can even defeat Hydra with this team, though it is a bit of a punch down right now, though with Anti-Venom, I'm sure that's going to be better. And to some extent, you can defeat your Marauders to a certain point, but you really have to punch down on that. And same with Mercs, you have to punch down on that as well. This team, it's good for defeating Asgardians, and it's kind of up in the air after that. And honestly, I could see switching Symbiotes and Inhumans on this list, maybe even Brotherhood. Symbiotes are still great for defeating Asgardians, but they're kind of one of those things where they are able to defeat a wide variety of teams. You can also defeat S.H.I.E.L.D. with them, but it's one of those things that they're still pretty weak with that, and they're not really wholly reliable. And again, no Alliance War bonuses. They're much more built for raids and Dark Dimension, but you can still get some very impressive returns on them, especially with that T4 on Carnage, where you can defeat enemy minion summons, where that just charges up the turn meter on the Symbiotes. So it's gonna give you some good power with Symbiotes, but again, there are better teams on this list that can still do those counters much better than them. And then number 7, we have Fantastic Four. Now this one is gonna be, we're gonna have to see how She-Hulk does with this. Right now, I'm not high on She-Hulk for defense with Fantastic Four. I don't expect that to become a defensive team. I just don't see the sustainability and the defensive power of that team just yet. But in the meantime, Fantastic Four with Namor is a very powerful war offense team. With Namor, his ultimate is still one of the better ultimates in this game for Alliance War. You can remove all positive effects from the enemy team and then reduce their speed bar by a significant amount. It's a very powerful ultimate. It's gotten kind of pushed down with the power creep, but that's still a very powerful ability. The constant assists with them, and now with ISO 8, with Skirmisher, and building all of those things up with assists and everything, this team can really, really do a good job. It can defeat a wide variety of teams as well. Nothing as heavy war defense in terms of some of these other teams, but it can defeat S.H.I.E.L.D., it can defeat Mercenaries, it can defeat Hydra, it can also defeat Asgardians, and even now it can also defeat Dr. Octopus and Sinister Six. So it's able to defeat all the war defense teams, though those are all punched down, so that's kind of against it in terms of its favor, in terms of where it is on this list. But the fact that it can defeat all those war defense teams is something that can't be ignored, and that's why they're on here. They're kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You can use them to defeat a whole variety of teams, and while it can be a punch down, they can defeat a whole lot of stuff, and that, I think, is one of the most valuable things about Fantastic Four and why they deserve to be on this list. Coming in at number 6, we have Power Armor. Now, Power Armor, this is originally going to be like down at like number 10, maybe even off my list, but then came the introduction of Ultron and Powertron, or Patron, however you want to call that team. Power Armor is a very strong offensive team, especially if you have Iron Man there. They can build up a lot of crit chance and crit damage. You can use that with the Raider ISO 8 to really build up their damage and just have them absolutely wipe out teams. They're not very durable, so they are more of a shock and awe. We have to get them in quick, wipe out the enemy team before the enemy team starts picking them apart. Not a lot of health and defense on them, so they are pretty weak if they have to sustain a long fight. However, the fact that they can very easily end a fight on their second turn is what makes them very powerful. And once you throw in Ultron, this has become like the go-to counter for Marauders. With Power Armor, when you take out Iron Man, throw in Ultron, this team can punch up 100k plus easily against Marauders. I have even pushed 150k plus against Marauders teams with Power Armortron. It is a very, very strong team, and Ultron just makes it better. And I think this team, it was looking pretty bleak for them, but the introduction of Patron and the fact that they are just one of the best counters for one of the best war defense teams now, I think that it really helps bring them up here. And the fact that, like Fantastic Four, they can defeat a wide variety of teams as well. So they are able to, give a lot of variety of teams that they can counter for that investment, and then throwing in Ultron, be able to counter Marauders, I think really speaks in their favor. And then coming in at that number 5 spot, one of my favorite new teams, Baron Zemo with his Hydra minions. Rip pretty much any minion team that this team comes across. Baron Zemo is tailored to wipe out any mercenary team that not just any mercenary, any minion team he comes across. And the power behind this is that there are some very strong minion teams that you're going to see on defense. Red Skull with Hydra minions. You have S.H.I.E.L.D. with Nick Fury and Coulson and S.H.I.E.L.D. minions. And then you have Mercenaries, where you have 2 minions at least on that team. Baron Zemo just rolls right over them, and he is a fantastic counter for them. And while I said earlier that Inhumans were a great counter for Red Skull and Hydra, Baron Zemo has completely surpassed where you can punch 100,000 plus based on the power of your Zemo. The higher the gear on your Zemo, the way higher you can punch up against Red Skull and Hydra to well over 100,000. This team just absolutely wrecks any minion team it's going to come across. It can punch up against S.H.I.E.L.D., it can punch up against Mercenaries, it can punch up against Red Skull and Hydra. And if you run into aim, I mean, you can pretty much just throw that on auto at that point, because the defense up and immunity that comes with Baron Zemo and his team, plus the 40% speed boost with the team, I mean, it's a massive speed boost to the team. They move very fast, and Zemo moves right out of the gate. He's one of the fastest characters in the game because of that passive, able to put Disrupt on the entire enemy team, remove all positive effects from them. Baron Zemo and his team is just an absolute powerhouse, though it really does hinge upon Baron Zemo. We're doing some experimentation right now with that, see if we can kind of push that power a little bit more. But this team, I think, is really, really powerful and a great counter to a lot of those strong minion deep war defense teams you're going to see up there. And that is why he is so high on this list. And then coming in right after him at number 4 is another new team that has come out recently, XForce. Now, you use XForce to unlock Doc Ock, which, spoilers, you're going to see on this list. But XForce, it cannot be understated how strong of an offensive team XForce is. And honestly, I may switch them, but I may switch XForce with number 3. I really do think both number 3 and 4 are very powerful, and you could easily switch between the two of them. But XForce is just an absolute monster on the field. When this team was introduced, Scopely said that they were intended to be the God of War offense. And while other teams have come in that are a bit more powerful on offense, this team is still very much an absolute powerhouse on offense. One of the more impressive things you can do is punch up 100k plus against Asgardians. It's not even close. You can just roll right over Asgardians with this team. It's pretty funny watching it. X23 and Negasonic, you only need T4s on their passives, and then that team is just steamrolling things. So you can easily defeat Asgardians, you can defeat S.H.I.E.L.D., you can defeat Mercenaries very easily as well, another great punch up against Mercenaries, and you can defeat Hydra as well, though it is a little tricky, but it can be done. All 4 of those teams just absolutely get blasted by your X-Force, and also they can defeat Marauders. They can punch up against Marauders too. So this is one of the most powerful teams, able to punch up against a lot of your heavy war defense teams. That is why they're up here. They very much deserve this spot, and honestly, I think even deserve to be number 3, which, speaking of number 3, we have XMen 2.0, or, you know, the X-Men we have now, with Colossus, Phoenix, Cyclops, Beast, and then Storm or Psylocke. This team is just absolutely disgusting. I love this team. It can punch up against a lot of your heavier war defense teams, punch up against S.H.I.E.L.D., Asgardians, Mercenaries. It will punch down against Black Order and Marauders, but the fact that it can defeat both those teams, I think is very powerful, and also why it's probably above X-Force here, because X-Force can't defeat Black Order, but X-Men can. Now, it is a punch down, and is a bit of a problem, but you can defeat Black Order, and that is really something I think is in their favor here. This team is just absolutely powerful, and if you have X-Men, you know. You've used them on offense before. They make for a great defense team as well, but they're just absolutely crazy on offense. I love using them on offense. I use them a lot on offense to really just kind of punch way above their power level, because they're just that good. And Phoenix, with her Dark Phoenix and everything, it's crazy. So X-Men number 3, able to defeat pretty much all of your war defense teams. Some may be punch downs, but it's consistent, so it works. So that's why they're here at number 3. And then finally we get to number 2, Dr. Octopus and Sinister Six. This team is brand new, and man, they are a doozy. They are just an absolute crazy war offense team. With Doc Ock, you have a huge damage, 30% damage bonus to Sinister Six allies on offense. You can also heal this team up constantly with Doc, with it blocking and healing things up. And that healer isolate, let me tell you, that thing is crazy on Doc. He is healing so often with that healer isolate. It's crazy what he does. But this team beats pretty much everything. And this is one of the few teams you can use to punch up against Black Order. In fact, this is probably the only team that you can use to punch up against Black Order. that isn't Black Order itself. This team is just nuts. It punches up against everything. It wrecks everything. Shield, Mercenaries, Black Order, Asgardians. It will wreck. And this team is very, very impressive. I really like what they've done with this team. And one of the best things about it is that the war bonuses can be used on offense or defense. So if you don't want to use this team on offense, you can throw it on defense. I can't speak to the power of it myself because I'm always using them on offense for a reason, because they have become my go-to counter for Black Order. Being able to punch up 100,000 against Black Order is a big deal, and I love it. I absolutely love what that team can do on offense. That's why they're here at number 2. And you're probably easily figuring out what's here at number 1, Black Order. I mean, there was really no surprise here. Black Order is pretty much the apex predator of Alliance War. It defeats everything. It punches up against everything. It fears nothing. There's no reason to, I mean, you will see them on defense a lot because they are the apex team for defense as well. But the fact that they punch up against everything and defeat everything easily on offense, they easily deserve the number 1 spot here. And they are not, it's not a farmable team yet, which maybe one day Scopely will realize that they should make that team farmable. But they're undoubtedly going to milk this team for all it's worth, because while they are meta in Arena, they are also meta here in Alliance War. They will crush anything in their way. There's really nothing else to say. This team just absolutely wrecks on offense. It's the best war offense team out there. So that's going to be it for this list. Let me know down below, what do you guys think of this list? Do you guys disagree with my rankings? Do you guys think I missed something? There are some honorable mentions that, could have gone on the list, like Supernatural was one that almost made on the list. So let me know down below what you guys think. As always, if you guys have enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel for more Marvel Strike Force content in the future. And as always, I will see you guys next time.